All right, so today we're going to talk about, this is going to be so easy, scientific notation first, and then we'll talk about unit conversions. Okay, so scientific notation is showing numbers in powers of 10. So like an easy one would be take the number 1,000. So 1,000 written in scientific notation would be 1 times 10 to the third, or you could just put 10 to the third because the 1 would be understood, right? Okay, now notice which way were we moving the decimal for this one. So the decimal started out here, and we're moving it to the left or to the right? To the left. 1, 2, 3. We scooted the decimal place over 3. When you move the decimal to the left, the exponent becomes larger. Exponent gets greater. Oh, and then the other thing is you want this number here, to be something between 1 and 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, right? You don't want to have 2 digits to the left of the decimal. You want this to be 1 times 10 to the third. So how about a harder one? What about like 2,650,000? What would that be? That's it. This would be 2.65 times 10, and you go like this. So the decimal starts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So notice how many numbers are to the left of the decimal right here. 1. So when you're writing in scientific notation, you want 1 number to the left of the decimal. So 2.65 times 10 to the 6. Okay, how about this? 0.0000375. So we're going to go like this. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3.75 times 10 to the negative 5. Is that pretty straightforward? Scientific notation. Hey, and one thing I want to mention, so see this negative right here? See that negative? Does that mean the number is less than 0? Does that mean less than 0? What would make a number less than 0? If the negative were here, if you had the negative out in front, then it's less than 0. So what does a negative exponent indicate?
A fraction.
Less than 1. Yeah, or a fraction. Right? Negative exponents does not mean less than 1. Okay? Okay, so now let's do conversions, and that's going to be our lecture for the day. So this is really where most of you need some review. Unit conversions. Okay, so for example, let's take 5 feet and convert it into inches. So 5 feet equals how many inches? Most of you can do that in your head, but I'm just doing this for purposes of showing you how to set it up. So whenever you do a conversion, you have to have what we call the conversion factor. I think that's what it's called. Sounds right. It's a conversion factor. So what's the conversion we need here? We just need 1. The conversion we need is 1 foot is equivalent to 12 inches. That's all we need to do this. So when you're showing a conversion, always write your given first. So the given here is 5 feet. So you write that down. So here's how you show the work. 5 feet, and then this parenthesis here is where you do the conversion factor. And this conversion factor, it's like multiplying by what? this conversion factor that I'm circling is basically like what? The number 1. It's like multiplying by the number 1. Because when you're doing a unit conversion, do you want to change the measurement or just convert it? Just convert it. So if you're just converting it, you don't want to change it. So if you want to keep it the same, you're multiplying by 1, which I'll show you why it's like multiplying by 1. So why is this like multiplying by 1? Well, look. So here's how this goes. What goes on the bottom? Feet. Now, how did I know that feet go on the bottom? So it cancels. So see up here, just like in math, if you have like, x multiplied by y over x, what happens to those x's? They cancel. The x's cancel. Same thing here. The feet will cancel. So you want to have feet on the bottom. Okay, and then we put inches up top. Okay, so now we put in the numbers. So how does it go? Is it 1 inch for 12 feet, or 1 foot is 12 inch? 1 foot is 12 inches. So then the feet cancel, and you're left with what? 60 inches. So 5 foot is equivalent to 60 inches. Now, back to the idea of multiplying by 1. This right here, mi amigos, that's Spanish for my friends. This is like multiplying by 1. Because why? Anything divided by itself, like what's x divided by x? 1. What's 5 divided by 5? 1. Anything divided by itself is what? 1. Didn't we say that 12 inches and 1 foot is the same thing? It's like dividing by itself. So it's like multiplying by 1. Right? That makes sense? Because 12 inches is 1 foot. It's the same thing. Okay? Now, let's end with a harder one, and we're done. So somebody give me a hard one. Hard one. Like dang, how do I convert that? Yo, shoot. Miles to meters. So how many miles? We make it crazy, dude. 4.5 miles. Equals how many meters? Okay. So what do we have to answer this? Yeah, actually, does anybody know how many meters are in a mile? Well, you could go to feet, to inches, to centimeters, then to meters.
You get a ballpark estimate by saying it's 3.5 feet a meter.
Yeah, but there's a better. Who runs track? What do they call the mile? The 1600. But you know what? They're lying to you. It's not. They call it the 1600, right? When you in track, if the mile is referred to as the 1600, meaning 1600 what? Meters. But is it really 1600 meters? Anybody know? It's a little more. 1,609. Double check that. I'm pretty sure. I'm pulling that out of my head, which is not the most reliable at all times. I think it's 1,609, right? But let's pretend we didn't know that. Do it with this. So let's say, I just want to show you a longer conversion. So 1 mile is how many feet? 5,280 feet. And then you could go 1 foot is 12 inches. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. And then 1 meter is 100 centimeters. Okay, so take 3 or 4 minutes and set this up so you're doing this conversion right here with those conversion factors. Here's what it would look like. So always start by writing down your given. So what the given here is 4.5 miles. So you go 4.5 miles, and then you set up your conversions. So what's the first place? Where's the first place we're going to go? Miles to feet. So you go mile there, feet there. How did I know that miles goes in the bottom? Because you want to cancel it. You know, mile cancels with mile. All right, now, where do the numbers go? 1 mile. I mean, I'm using this one right here. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Now we do the next conversion. Just do it all in one big row. So now we put what on the bottom? Feet to inches. 1 foot is 12 inches. The feet cancel. And we keep going. Inches to centimeter. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeter. And then the last one, which will take us to meter, is centimeter and meter. 1 meter is 100 centimeters. And then what's the unit we're left in? Meters. We're left with meters. Now, I know some of you are like, okay, so we get this far, and you're like, whoa, dude, how do we punch this into our calculator? So it's pretty simple. Like all the stuff that goes on the top, everything on the top gets what? Multiplied. So it's like, 4.5 times 5,280 times 12 times 2.54, and then divided by what's on the bottom? 100. All that divided by 100. So you punch that into your calculator, and what does it give? 7,242 meters. That's good enough. All right. Now, what makes unit conversions tricky, which we're not going to talk about today? Who can tell me what'll make it really tricky?
When you have a lot of them.
A lot of conversions to do? Well, yeah, that'll be tricky. There's something that makes converting units ultra tricky. Well, I'm making it sound worse than it is, but I'll show you an example, and then we'll solve it tomorrow or at some later time. So an example of a really tricky conversion would be 40 inches cubed equals how many centimeters cubed? What are cubic? What is cubic inches? What is that a measure of? Volume. Any length cubed is volume. So converting from one unit of volume to another unit of volume. So we'll talk about that later. But that's like the final thing for unit conversions.